The heavy scent of church incense is suddenly choked by the smell of fresh blood as a man collapses against the wooden confessional, his breathing loud and shaky. Father Min-Seok's hand flies to his throat to grip his priest's collar, but as his sleeve slides back, his secret is out. A large Mafia tattoo and a heavy gold ring show he was once a king of the underworld. "The city is going to burn by dawn, boss," the man whispers, his face covered in grime and tears. Min-Seok looks out the window at the first orange flames on the horizon, realizing he must stop being a priest and become a monster again to save his people before the sun rises. The silence of the chapel is heavy, filled only with the faint smell of old wood and candle wax. Father Min-Seok sits in the dark confessional, his eyes closed in prayer. Suddenly, a wet, heavy thud hits the wooden screen. The smell of incense is wiped away by the sharp, salty scent of fresh blood. Behind the lattice, a man is gasping for air, his breath sounding like a broken engine. Min-Seok's body goes stiff. He knows that sound. It is the sound of a soldier dying. "Father," the voice rasps. It is Yi-jun, a man Min-Seok hasn't seen since he traded his guns for a rosary. A dark red stain begins to spread across the white silk screen of the confessional. Yi-jun's fingers, covered in grime and blood, claw at the wood. "They found you. The Alliance. They're starting the scorched-earth protocol tonight. They want to burn the whole district to the ground, to smoke you out." Min-Seok's heart hammers against his ribs. He grips his wooden cross so hard his knuckles turn white. For 5 years, he has lived as a man of peace. He has fed the hungry and sat with the lonely. He promised God he would never spill blood again. But outside the stained glass, the sky is turning a sick, bruised orange. The first fires have been lit. "You have to run," Yi-jun coughs, the sound followed by a spray of red against the screen. "They've blocked the roads. They're going to level the church first. Your people, the families in the basement, they won't make it out." Min-Seok looks at his hands. They are steady, but they feel heavy with the weight of his past. If he stays a priest, he dies with his people, keeping his soul clean while their bodies burn. If he becomes the king again, he might save them, but he will lose the peace he worked so hard to find. The roar of engines, the flash of muzzles, the cold look in a victim's eyes. The heat is rising now. He can hear the distant screams of his neighbors and the crackle of wood catching fire. The vultures are no longer circling. They are at the door. Every second he spends praying is a second the fire moves closer to the children sleeping in the church hall. His mind is a razor, cutting through the fear. The time for mercy has ended. The time for survival has begun. "Yi-jun," Min-Seok says, his voice losing its soft, priestly tone. It becomes deep, cold, and hard as stone. "Who is leading the arson teams?" "Your old student," Yi-jun whispers, his voice fading. "He says the Ghost King is dead. He says a priest can't stop a fire." Min-Seok stands up. The confessional feels small, like a coffin he is about to break out of. He looks at the red screen, a symbol of the blood that is about to flood his streets. The choice is made. He cannot save his soul and his city at the same time. He chooses the city. He chooses the people. The priest is gone. The king is waking up. Min-Seok pushes the heavy velvet curtain aside and steps out into the dim light of the chapel. He moves to the other side of the confessional where Yi-jun lies slumped against the wood. The floor is a mess of red. Min-Seok kneels, not to pray, but to check the wound. It's deep. Yi-jun is fading fast, his eyes unfocused, looking at the ceiling as if waiting for a miracle. "Look at me," Min-Seok commands. The kindness is gone from his face. His expression is wide-eyed and sharp, the look of a man who has seen a ghost and decided to fight it. Yi-jun blinks, his breath coming in shallow hitches. He looks at Min-Seok's black suit and the white collar of the clergy. "I'm sorry, boss. I brought the war to your house." "The war was always here, Yi-jun. It was just waiting for the lights to go out." Min-Seok reaches up and tears the Roman collar from his neck. He tosses the white plastic strip onto the blood-soaked floor. It looks like a broken bone. He rolls up his left sleeve, revealing the massive, dark ink of a dragon that coils around his forearm. The tattoo seems to come alive in the flickering candlelight. Yi-jun's eyes widen. He reaches out a trembling hand, touching the heavy gold signet ring on Min-Seok's finger. It is a king's seal, a symbol of a throne built on power and fear. The Ghost King, Yi-jun whispers, a tiny, bloody smile touching his lips. You're still in there. I never left, Min-Seok says. He grips Yi-jun's shoulder, his hand firm and steady. I need to know the locations of the fuel trucks. If they hit the gas lines, the whole block goes up. Tell me where they are, and I'll make sure they regret stepping into my parish. Yi-jun gasps out the names of 3 intersections. His hand drops. The light leaves his eyes, but his face is peaceful. He died, seeing the man he once followed return to power. Min-Seok stands up slowly. The transition is complete. He feels the cold, familiar weight of his old life settling over him like a suit of armor. He looks at the altar. He spent 5 years asking for forgiveness, but tonight he will ask for strength. He doesn't need a Bible anymore. He needs a map. He doesn't need wine. He needs a weapon. He isn't walking like a priest anymore. He moves with a predatory grace, his footsteps silent on the stone. He is a razor in the dark, and the men outside have no idea that the helpless priest they are coming to kill is the most dangerous man they have ever met. He turns toward the back of the church, his mind already 3 steps ahead of the enemy. The vow of silence is broken. Now the city will hear him roar. A sudden, deep boom shakes the church. Then, the humming of the light stops. Total darkness swallows the chapel. Outside, the street lamps flicker and die. The neighborhood has gone dark. This is the first step of the scorched earth protocol. Cut the power, kill the communication, and let the fire do the rest. Min-Seok stands perfectly still in the center of the black room. He doesn't need light to see. He knows this church like he knows the scars on his back. He doesn't move in straight lines. He stays close to the pillars, his body a blur in the gloom. He can hear the heavy boots of the first arson team hitting the pavement outside. They are laughing. They think this is easy. They think they are hunting a lamb. Min-Seok reaches the heavy oak doors and slides the iron bolt into place. He isn't locking himself in. He is making sure they have to work to get to him. He moves to the side window, pulling back a heavy curtain just an inch. Below, in the street, 3 men in dark hoodies are unloading canisters of gasoline. The smell of fuel begins to seep through the cracks in the stone. Check the basement windows, one of the thugs shouts. Burn the rats inside first. Min-Seok's jaw tightens. The rats are the homeless families he has been protecting. His blood turns to ice. He moves through the shadows of the nave, his footsteps making no sound on the rugs. He reaches the spiral staircase leading to the bell tower. He climbs quickly, his breath even. From the top, he can see the whole district. The fires are starting to spread like orange sores on the skin of the city. He sees a black sedan idling at the end of the block. That's the lookout. He notes the license plate, filing it away in his mental dossier of treason. He feels the heat rising through the floorboards. The thugs are pouring gas against the back door. They are about to light the spark that will destroy his sanctuary. Min-Seok doesn't panic. Panic is for civilians. He is a king. He knows that a fire needs oxygen, but a war needs a leader. He needs to get to his tools. He moves back down the stairs, passing the confessional where Yi-jun's body lies. He doesn't look back. The dead are at peace, but the living are about to face a nightmare. He heads for the altar, the most sacred spot in the building. It is also the place where he hid his most unholy secrets. The first spark has been lit outside, but the fire inside Min-Seok is much, much hotter. He reaches the marble steps, his eyes fixed on the floorboards. The game has begun. Min-Seok reaches the high altar, where a large wooden crucifix hangs on the wall. He kneels, but he isn't praying. He reaches under the edge of the heavy marble slab and presses a hidden catch. With a soft click, a section of the ornate floorboards pops up. Most people see an altar as a place of sacrifice. Min-Seok sees it as a vault. He pulls back the wood, revealing a waterproof crate. He opens it, and the dim light of the fires outside glints off the tools of the king. On top are the mental dossiers, thick folders containing the names, deaths, and dirty secrets of every major player in the Seoul underworld. He had spent years gathering this leverage, a map of human weakness that he never thought he'd use again. Below the files lies the hardware. He pulls out a sleek, black tactical vest and slides it over his black priest shirt. It fits perfectly. Next, he retrieves two customized handguns, their grips worn from years of use. He checks the magazines with a practiced fast-cut motion. Snap, click, slide. They are loaded with the same cold efficiency he used to run his empire. He finds his encrypted tablet. He switches it on, the blue light casting a ghostly glow over his sharp features. He taps into the hospital's old security feeds and the city's traffic cameras. He sees the vultures moving in real time. He sees Sang-woo's men, the traitors, setting up a perimeter around the district. He sees the Russian conglomerate's trucks waiting at the docks, ready to move in the illegal products as soon as the smoke clears. "You thought I was a husk," Min-Seok whispers to the screen, his voice a low growl. "You thought the habit made me weak." He retrieves a set of small, high-tech earpieces and a localized jammer. He will turn the church's bell tower into his tactical command center. He stuffs the folders into a hidden compartment in his vest and slides his gold signet ring onto his finger. It isn't jewelry anymore. It is a knuckle duster, a weapon of last resort. The smell of smoke is getting thicker. The back door of the church is starting to groan under the heat of the fire outside. He has the dossiers. He has the guns. He has the map of the betrayal. He stands up, looking at the crucifix one last time. "Forgive me," he says, but his eyes are hard and dry. He doesn't wait for an answer. He turns and disappears into the shadows of the sacristy, moving toward the side exit. The priest is buried under the vest. The king is armed, and the invisible shepherd is about to go for a walk. Min-Seok steps out of the side door into the narrow alleyway. The air is thick with black smoke and the sound of crackling wood. He pulls his black priest's robes tight around him, using the collar to hide the tactical vest underneath. In this chaos, no one is looking for a killer. They are looking for victims. To the arson teams, he is just a helpless priest trying to save his skin. He moves through the burning streets with the efficiency of a man who knows every criminal's playbook. He sees a team of 4 men at the corner, tossing Molotov cocktails into a grocery store. They are laughing, watching the families run out of the building. Min-Seok doesn't run. He walks toward them, his head bowed, his hands hidden in his long sleeves. "Father, get out of here," one of the thugs mocks, pointing a gun at him. "Your god isn't home tonight." Min-Seok doesn't say a word. He gets within 5 feet. The thug lowers his guard, smirking at the pitiful priest. In one fluid motion, Min-Seok's hand flashes out from his sleeve. He doesn't use a gun yet. He uses the heavy gold signet ring. He punches the man in the throat with the force of a hammer. The thug collapses, clutching his neck, unable to scream. Before the other 3 can react, Min-Seok is a blur of motion. He uses their own confusion against them. He disarms the second man with a wrist lock that snaps bone, then uses him as a shield as the third man tries to fire. 2 silent shots from under his robe. Thud, thud, and the arsonists are down. He moves to the last man, who is trembling, his back against a brick wall. Min-Seok grips him by the hair and pulls his face close. The blue light from the burning store reflects in Min-Seok's cold, wide-eyed gaze. "Who gave the order to hit the church?" Min-Seok asks, his voice like grinding glass. It was the new boss," the man whimpers. "He said you were a ghost. He said you wouldn't fight back." "Tell him the ghost is back," Min-Seok says. He knocks the man unconscious with a single blow and melts back into the smoke. He continues through the district, a silent shadow in a world of fire. He isn't just killing. He is dismantling the operation. He cuts fuel lines to the arson trucks and jams their radios. He is the invisible shepherd, protecting his flock by hunting the wolves. He knows he is losing his soul with every step, but as he sees a mother and child escape a burning home because of his intervention, he doesn't care. The city is his kingdom, and he will burn every traitor in it to keep it safe. He turns the corner toward the main gas station, where the biggest vulture is waiting. The hunt is far from over. The smoke is so thick it tastes like charcoal. Min-Seok moves through the rear entrance of a burned-out warehouse, his eyes scanning the floor for tripwires. He is following the radio signal he jammed earlier, tracing it back to the source of the scorched-earth commands. He reaches a glass-walled office overlooking the shipping floor. Inside, a man stands with his back to the door, staring at a map of the city's gas lines. He is wearing a tailored gray suit that costs more than the church's annual budget. Min-Seok steps into the light, his shadow long and jagged against the wall. The man turns around slowly, a glass of expensive whiskey in his hand. It is Hanbin. 10 years ago, Min-Seok had found him starving on the streets and taught him everything. How to read a ledger, how to hold a gun, and how to lead men. Hanbin was the son Min-Seok never had, the protégé he had groomed to take the throne with honor. "You look tired, father," Hanbin says, his voice smooth and cold. He doesn't look surprised. He looks disappointed. "I expected you to stay in your little wooden box and burn with the rest of the saints. Why did you come out? To offer me a blessing." "I came to see if the boy I raised had truly turned into a vulture," Min-Seok replies. He keeps his hands visible, but his fingers are inches from the pistols hidden under his robes. The 2026 fast cut of his memory shows a younger Hanbin swearing loyalty under the same dragon tattoo that now burns on Min-Seok's arm. "You aren't just taking the throne, Hanbin. You are burning the kingdom to the ground." The kingdom was weak. Hanbin screams, slamming his glass onto the table. The glass shatters, shards flying like diamonds. "You left us for a god who doesn't answer back. You left a vacuum, and the Russians filled it with fire. I'm just finishing the job so we can build something new from the ash. I'm doing what you were too soft to do." Min-Seok realizes then that the betrayal isn't just about power, it's about resentment. Hanbin didn't just want the crown, he wanted to destroy the man who walked away from it. The protégé believes that by burning the pre-city, he can finally kill the Ghost King's shadow. "You think fire makes you strong?" Min-Seok asks, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "Fire only destroys. A king builds. You aren't a leader, Hanbin. You're just a match in a room full of gasoline." Hanbin reaches for the radio on the desk, his eyes filled with a manic light. "Then let's see who survives the explosion." He barks an order into the mic to move all teams to the city center. Min-Seok doesn't wait. He hurls a flashbang into the office and disappears into the smoke before Hanbin can even draw his weapon. The mentor has seen enough. The boy is gone. Only the enemy remains. The minutes are ticking away like heartbeats. It is nearly midnight, the dead hour when the final demolition charges are set to blow. Min-Seok returns to the church, his sanctuary now a fortress. He doesn't go to the altar this time. He heads straight for the narrow, winding stone stairs of the bell tower. Each step is a struggle as the heat from the surrounding fires rises through the stone. At the top, the air is clearer but cold. Min-Seok sets down his tactical bag. With the 2026 fast-cut precision of a sniper, he assembles a long-range rifle he retrieved from his hidden vault. He snaps the bipod into place on the stone ledge, overlooking the main square where Hanbin's trucks are gathered. He opens his encrypted tablet and syncs it with the church's old bells. In the old days, these bells called people to prayer. Tonight, they will act as a psychological weapon. He sets a digital timer. Below him, he can see the vultures moving in the square, planting C4 explosives on the main gas hub. If that hub blows, the entire center of the city becomes a crater. "Midnight is coming," Min-Seok whispers to himself. He looks through the high-powered scope. He can see the sweat on the arsonists' faces. He can see the red lights on the detonators blinking like angry eyes. He isn't just a priest anymore. He is the eye in the sky. He begins to fire, not at the men, but at the tires of the trucks and the fuel valves. One by one, the trucks are disabled. The thugs scramble in confusion, looking for a shooter they cannot see. Then the clock hits 12. Instead of a silent explosion, Min-Seok triggers the bells. The massive bronze bells begin to toll with a deafening, rhythmic roar that echoes through the streets. It is a sound of judgment. The vibration shakes the tower, but Min-Seok's hands remain steady. He uses the noise to mask his shots, picking off the guards protecting the detonator. He is turning the church into a command post, using the height to dictate the flow of the battle. He sees Hanbin's black sedan racing toward the church. The protégé knows where the ghost is hiding. Min-Seok switches his rifle for his handguns. He knows the final move won't happen from a distance. It will happen at the heart of his home. He watches the red lights on the tablet. The scorched earth timer has been paused, but not stopped. The final key is with Hanbin. Min-Seok leaves the tower and descends back into the darkness of the chapel, waiting for the front doors to burst open. The clock has struck, and the king is ready for his guest. The heavy oak doors of the church explode inward, splinters flying like shrapnel. Hanbin walks through the dust, a detonator in one hand and a gold-plated pistol in the other. He looks around the charred, empty pews, his eyes searching the shadows. "Come out, ghost," he yells, his voice echoing off the high ceiling. "The bells won't save you now." One button, and this whole block becomes a memory. Min-Seok is sitting in the center of the altar, illuminated by a single shaft of moonlight coming through a hole in the roof. He is wearing his full priest's robes again, but the dragon tattoo is visible on his hand, which rests calmly on his knee. He looks like a king sitting on a throne of ruins. "You haven't learned anything, Hanbin," Min-Seok says, his voice calm and steady. "A king's authority doesn't come from a button. It doesn't come from the profit of a crime or the fear of a fire. It comes from the weight of the crown, the responsibility to the people who live under it." Hanbin laughs, a harsh, jagged sound. He walks up the center aisle, his boots clicking on the stone. The people? The people are sheep, Min-Seok. They follow whoever has the biggest flame. And tonight, that's me. He raises the detonator, his thumb hovering over the red switch. "Give me the signet ring. Give me the mental dossiers, or I'll end this city right now." Min-Seok stands up slowly. He doesn't reach for a gun. He walks down the altar steps toward Hanbin. He looks completely unprotected, but there is a terrifying power in his walk. It is the resurrection of the man who once ruled the underworld with a single look. "The ring doesn't make the king," Min-Seok says, stopping just inches from Hanbin's gun. He holds out his hand, showing the heavy gold seal. "And the fire doesn't make the leader. You are just a scared boy playing with matches because you wanted your father to look at you." Hanbin's hand trembles. He sees the priest, the man of peace, but behind his eyes he sees the ghost king, the man who cannot be killed. In a moment of pure panic, Hanbin tries to press the button. Min-Seok moves with the speed of a striking snake. He catches Hanbin's wrist, twisting it until the detonator falls to the floor. With his other hand, he delivers a massive strike to Hanbin's chest, knocking the air from his lungs. Hanbin collapses at the foot of the altar, gasping for breath. Min-Seok picks up the detonator and crushes it under his boot. "The war is over," Min-Seok says, looking down at his fallen student. "The city is still standing, and you are just a common criminal." He calls the police, the ones he knows are still clean, and waits in the silence. The king has reclaimed his throne, but the cost is written in the ash on his robes. The sun begins to rise, a pale gold light breaking through the smoke that still hangs over Seoul. The fires are out, replaced by the steady blue and red lights of emergency vehicles. People are stepping out of their homes, looking at the charred streets with a mix of fear and wonder. They are alive. The scorched earth was stopped by a miracle they don't fully understand. Father Min-Seok stands on the steps of his ruined church. His robes are torn and stained with soot, and the white Roman collar is back in its place, though it sits over a tactical vest that no one can see. He looks at the city. It is scarred, but it is breathing. He sees the police leading Hanbin and the other traitors away in chains. He sees the vultures scattering into the wind, their power broken by the dossiers he leaked to the authorities in the early hours of the morning. The syndicate is dead, but the community is born. Yi-jun's body is carried out of the church in a black bag. Min-Seok stops the paramedics for a moment, placing a hand on the bag and whispering a final prayer. It is a prayer for a soldier, but also a prayer for a friend. He knows his life can never go back to the way it was. He is no longer just a priest who hides from the world. "Father," a young woman asks, holding her child tight. She looks at the dragon tattoo peeked out from his sleeve, then at his kind, tired eyes. "Is it safe now?" Min-Seok looks at the horizon, where the light and shadows meet. He realizes that his ministry has changed. He cannot just offer bread and wine, he must offer a shield. He will spend his days rebuilding the chapel and his nights watching the borders of his district. He will be the invisible shepherd who knows how to fight the wolves because he used to be their leader. It is safe, Min-Seok says, his voice soft but firm. I am staying right here. I'm not going anywhere. He turns back toward the altar. There is much work to be done. The pews need to be replaced, the soot needs to be scrubbed, and the people need to be healed. He is a man who walks between two worlds, the holy and the hidden. As the sun fills the chapel, the ghost king fades into the light, leaving behind a priest who finally understands that true atonement is found in the protection of the weak. The city was destroyed by a confession, but it will be rebuilt by a king who chose to be a servant.